All right, well, this is gonna be a two-part video because I accidentally stopped the video, so I'm gonna post two different videos because I'm not gonna edit this and splice it together. So I just bring this stuff down on my couch, and so I'm gonna do part one and part two on this just because I just did that. So sorry, guys. But part one and part two. So then I basically just lay everything out. Like I said, I tested the photo booth theory. It didn't yield any more sales. So I just make it easy on myself. Now, obviously I can't take pictures right now because my phone, you guys are on my phone. But what I would normally do now is take pictures, take a bunch of pictures of everything. And my lighting is pretty good in here. And then it goes back to my white boxes. You guys, I'm sure you've seen my white boxes for my football helmets. These are extras that we put credits in, or jerseys, or whatever it was that was. Does it say what this was? This was New Orleans. So this was a jersey that we had. So that's why I normally send the jerseys out in padded envelopes, but they initially, for our series, they go in these boxes because all the boxes are laid up behind me, so you don't know what's a jersey or what's a helmet. But anyway, and then I basically will put the system in that box. I'll label the box, whatever it is, and that's it. Rinse and repeat. So we'll go ahead and do the next one, which is, you know what? I'm not going to clean those controllers. Do I have PS2 controllers? So I've got two PS2s, but I don't think I have controllers for them. Let's see. I got PS1 controllers. PS3, Dreamcast, Wii, Super Nintendo, Xbox. I've got no PS2 controllers currently. So what I will end up doing then is I'm going to test these systems using a PS1 controller for now. And assuming they work, then what I will do is I'll end up buying two PS1 controllers off eBay. Normally you can get them for about 20 bucks. It's normally worth it to get them on eBay. So, but yeah, so that'll be the next thing is I'll test them, make sure they work. If they work, then I will just buy two. So I actually literally just sold one. You'll see it on Monday. I just sold a PS2 Slim. I need the charger for it. Just sold a PS2 Slim for like $115 or something like that. So, you know, it's worth it still because I mean, basically these systems were probably 10 bucks for me, if that. You know, 10, maybe $15. So it's worth it to buy a controller for each of them. Assuming they both work, and then flip them for, you know, 100 to 120 depending. I got a bunch of games for PS2, so I probably should be able to get 120. I think the last one, the one I just sold, went for 115 or 120 plus shipping. So it's worth it to put in the extra 20 bucks to get controllers. You know, I don't always have them laying around. I do, like I just mentioned, have some controllers that I do have extras and spares of, but there are times like this where I don't. So I'll jump on eBay and get two official controllers. The nice thing was, a while back there was somebody selling new in the package official controllers for like 15 bucks, and it was like, wow, plus shipping. So it ended up being like 20. I'm sure they were pocketing some on shipping because they were charging like $10 shipping. So you know, they were probably more so getting 20 bucks still around the $20 mark, but they were brand new. So I ended up picking up like 3 of them at that time through that seller. And now they've bumped them up to like $30. So I think they realized that they undercut or were selling them too low. But so I'll go on and I'll find two controllers, maybe a pair from somebody for 30 bucks. I may be able to find a pair for 30 with shipping, maybe 35 or so. Again, it's worth it if these are both working, or even if just one is working. But there's that. So I've got also a Switch over here. I've got a bunch of systems over here already. Let me show you guys what I'm doing. So I've got a bunch of systems already set up. So I got PS4, I got a PS3 backward compatible, so that can play so to test games. I think somebody asked about testing games. So I've got a PS3 over here that's backwards compatible. That is for testing PS1, 2, and 3 games. I've got an Xbox 360, which can play Xbox 360 and some Xbox games. Not many. Usually, I don't really test a ton of Xbox games. I just surface them if they look bad and call them working. Typically, unless they look terrible, then I call it a day because I don't have original Xbox. I don't come across a ton of original Xbox games, so that's a good thing. I don't have a Wii U set up, but typically if I get a Wii U, I typically will test the games in the Wii U when I get a Wii U. And same thing with like an Xbox. I'll test the games in the Xbox if I get them. I do have a Wii set up, a PS4, an Xbox 360 downstairs. I've got a N64, a Nintendo, and a Super Nintendo. I don't have a Sega, but I don't come across many Sega games, to be honest with you. But typically cartridge games, as long as you clean the pins, 99% of the time they're going to work. So I don't really test, even though I put in my listing, I put tested. They're cleaned, pins are cleaned. I've yet to have an issue with any really cartridge-based game come back. But I always put tested, even though technically I'm not really testing them. I am cleaning them. I'm cleaning the pins on them, which, again, 99, probably 0.7% of the time they're going to be working. Again, never had a return on a cartridge-based game. So until that happens, I'm going to keep calling them tested and working because, again, I've never had a problem. But anyway, so outside of Sega, now I will test the Super Nintendo because I have them. Super Nintendo, N64, and NES. Those I will test because I do have the console. So I'll clean the pin, throw them in, make sure it pops on, boom, turn it off, and good to go, call it a day. Usually I'll do a stack of like 10 or 20 at a time. But I haven't sold any of my cartridge-based games in so long. I've just hoarded them. At some point, if you haven't seen my death pile, it's not really a death pile. It goes back to my cartridge, all my games up here. It's not really a death pile. It's a rainy day pile of old school cartridge games, and all the fillers are already taken out. So I've already thrown all the fillers in bundles and things like that. So they're all the good games: your Zeldas, your Marios, your Chrono Triggers, your Mortal Kombats, your Street Fighters. All your Donkey Kongs, all the stuff that's $15-ish bucks and above. 12-ish bucks and above is all in those piles. Same with all these Pokemon games that I showed off earlier in the previous video, because this will be a two-parter since I accidentally turned the video off earlier. But anyway, so I would say probably overall 90% of everything that I do get does get tested. However, unless it's filler stuff, like all the filler games, I just make sure I run them through the JFJ and they look clean. And I put in the listing, the games have not been tested. So if I have an issue there, they can't really say anything. They were just throw-ins anyway with the system. They're filler games. They're $5 games. Worst case, if I ever have a customer say, hey, this game didn't work, and I'll be like, well, hey, my listing said they weren't tested, and then they bitch about it, be like, hey, here's $5, go buy it. So I'm willing to take that risk if that ever happens. I've yet to have that happen either, as much game stuff as I've sold. But again, cartridge based, most of it I can test. Dreamcast, I don't have one set up, but I hardly ever get them. So when I get a Dreamcast, if I have Dreamcast games that come with it, I just test them in the system as I have it, because I don't have a bunch. I don't normally just come across Dreamcast games by themselves. I don't normally come across many Sega games by themselves. There's certain systems of those games I don't really come across very often unless I get the system with it and it's coming with those games, and then I can just test them with that system, like Wii U's, Sega's, Dreamcasts, and usually OG Xboxes. Those are usually the ones that if I'm getting some of those games, it's usually because I'm getting a system with it. I don't normally come across those games by themselves. So I don't really have to test those. I don't have the means to test it unless I have the system. I have the systems, they're just in boxes. I could always take them out and that I haven't sold yet. Like I got 4 Wii U's sitting downstairs that are in my inventory. So if I ever did come across a bunch of Wii U games, for example, if the discs were questionable, that's the thing, is that if the discs look good, I'm usually calling it good at that point. Like if the disc has any scratching on it, then obviously at that point I kind of want to test it out, especially, and so I guess in that case I'd probably pull out one of my Wii U's and hook it up and then test it. But again, that doesn't happen very often. That hardly ever come across those games by themselves without the system, and I don't come across those systems very often anyway. So I'm gonna hook up my TV turned off on me. So I'm gonna hook up my. If I had more space, I would have, dedicated TV. I think somebody asked, do I have a workbench? I think it was Tahoe. asked if I have a workbench, and I'm like, it'd be nice if I had more space to have like a workbench, but I mean, this is kind of my workbench, but it's my personal stuff. So I just hook it into my personal stuff and test. So it's kind of is my workspace. So light is on. Obviously I got to change the input on the TV to analog or AV. Let's go there and let's plug in this controller and let's see if this bad boy fires up. I'm sure it's going to fire up. I don't normally have problems with PS2s. Now, does it read discs? That's going to be the question. Does it read discs? But we can always clean the lens and see how that works. So far, I'm batting 6 for 6 on that. So first thing first, let's turn this thing on, see what we get on the screen. So far, I don't have the sound hooked up. I only do the video. Only did the video. All right, so I've never had issues with sound. Now, again, I guess I could eventually run into that problem, but I don't normally plug in the sound. So, I guess it's only one more thing. Let me plug in the sound. I don't think I got sound hooked up on the TV actually either. There is no data. So it's just more steps. I never had issue with sound, so I don't normally mess with the sound. But we'll mess with it today. All right, let's try a PS2 game in here and see what happens. This thing is pretty janky. It needs to be cleaned up pretty good. It's pretty nasty. But let's see, PS2. Let's go. Suzuki TT Motorsports. Let's see. Disc looks a little, not terrible. Got a few little scratches in it. Got some handprints. Let's get it cleaned up. Looks pretty good. That sounds good. No spin, huh? Sounds like no spin. Yep, sounds like no spin. Looks like the brake is on it. That's why. The brake is on it. So that's why it's not spinning. Let's reset it. See what happens. Sound is good. So I've never had one. So we're not getting any spin, and that's because it looks like the brake is enabled. Instead of disengaging, the brake is constant. So I've never had that happen. I can see the brake is just on the whole time. It's not off. It should be off. In fact, that's why the disc ain't going in. So I've never had that issue before. I'd imagine it's probably a spring. So, because it's just enabled, it's engaged. So I'm gonna look that up after you guys. I'm not gonna go into all that while you guys are with me, but it looks like, at least for now, this one needs a little bit more tinkering with. So I'm going to tinker with this one a little bit, because and they're pretty easy to work on, to take this apart and to get in there. A lot of the older stuff is really easy to get into. So I will probably look up how to fix the brake, because that's what it is the brake is engaged for the disc. It's just engaged. It's not pulling back. So it's not allowing the disc to turn. So I can hear it trying to turn. You heard it go, meep. So it's wanting to turn, but the disc is engaged, so it's not turning. So I'm going to look that up at a later time. So this I'm going to put to the side for now. And I'm going to tinker with that and see if I can figure that out. I'm imagining that's something simple, and I'd imagine after that it should work. So I'm not going to go buying anything for it yet. I'm going to look that stuff up on Google and see what that's about and how to fix that. So that one I'm going to put to the side for now. So that's for future. You see, they're pretty janky. This one's pretty janky, pretty yuck. So it's got to be cleaned pretty good. It's not too bad on the fan. Surprisingly enough, the fan's not bad, so I didn't have to blow that one out, but it is pretty nasty. So So same thing with this one. I don't have a cord for this one, but I do have cords. I have a ton of power cords. I have a little setup over here. I have a little setup over here with just stuff. So like this drawer, I've got controller power cables, like mini HDMI and mini USBs or whatever they're called, and then Type C's and things like that for controllers. I've got everything AV related in this drawer, a little packed, but like all your HDMI cables, your video cables for like, you know, different systems and things like that. HDMIs, Nintendo. In fact, I probably could use that with the Nintendo, but anyway, Nintendo video cable, things like that. So all video related. This drawer's got all controllers that I mentioned earlier. It's got all the controller stuff. And then this one down here is more miscellaneous, just kind of missing like hard drives and motion sensors for Wii's. This is all my wife's stuff down here. And then these drawers are mine too. So I've got power cables. So like that, boom, power cable, perfect. More power cables for like Xboxes and things like that. Segas. I've got power cables for Nintendo stuff and handhelds, and then power cables for, that's Xbox actually. This is like Sega and miscellaneous like big cords for like power bricks and things like that. So anyway, so normally when I'm at yard sales, I will come across that kind of stuff and then just throw it in piles and yeah, because being a video game reseller, you can always use that kind of stuff. This drawer here has I've got all my filler games in here, filler game loose discs here, and then I've got like styluses and things like that for all your handhelds in here, covers for the Game Boy DS's, a couple covers, styluses. I've got a bag full of Wii remotes and Xbox 360 remote battery covers. Let's see. These are all memory cards for PlayStation 1, memory cards for cameras, and in fact, looks like I only got one left, cameras and switches and things like that. So I'm gonna have to buy another set because I'm down to just the one. Actually, I got a couple up here as well, actually. It's an 8 gig, and then whatever this is, SD 16 gig. So I got a few left, but those are going to be, and then the generic jumper packs, because anytime I come across a Nintendo 64, I take the red pack out and I put a regular jumper pack in because the red packs sell for 50 bucks alone. I've got some triggers in here to replace triggers for N64 controllers. I got the triggers, a couple of those in there. I got a battery door cover for Nintendo if I ever come across Nintendo that, you know, happens to, just some little miscellaneous parts. Batteries for like PlayStation. I actually had to use one of these the other night on a PS2. So PS2 batteries, or PS3 controller batteries. Batteries for, I got a whole bunch of them in there. You just can't see them, but a whole bunch of batteries for the like Pokemon games for GB, Game Boy Advance and things like that. And then I think I've got some doors. I think I may be out of the big doors possibly. Oh no, I got a couple big doors still for Wii, and the small doors, and then the other door as well, the front door. So these little ones. So the little doors for Wii's, because I always come across Wii's and they always 9 times out of 10 don't have any of the doors. So that's just my little pile of stuff being a game reseller. It's useful to have that stuff on hand. I probably could have more, and I could probably have, you know, but at the scale, the volume that I'm at, you know, as I run out, I just buy more on eBay. I know XYAB, a lot of resellers, video game resellers will promote XYAB. I haven't found them much cheaper, or if any cheaper than some eBay sellers. So I don't use XYAB personally. So there's that. All right, let's go ahead and test this thing and see what happens. Hopefully this one fires up and works. Get one for two, bet 50% on this. Hopefully. We shall see, we shall see. So you're back with me, you can see. So let's plug that in, and let's plug this in. I guess I should have kept that game out. All right, let's get this game out again. Already got a memory card too. Good deal. All right. First, let's see if she turns on. We got power. We got a red light. That's good. That's good. That's good. Well, looks like the eject is not working. So the eject is not working on this one. It does power up. It does work. I can hear it engaging. So I can hear it trying to engage, but nothing. So this one I may does it have, it's got a game in it, I think. Oh, maybe not. Reading disc, it does have a game in it. Man, I wonder what game it's got in it. It could have Silent Hill in there. But it's not reading disc either. So, I will probably... Oh, I hear it. Oh, it's trying. I hear it spinning. That's a shame. So I may pry the door open to see what game's in it. It's probably something crap, but you never know. But at the end of the day, if it's not reading the disc that's in there, that's one. I don't think I've ever opened up a PS2 actually. A PS2 Slim, yes, but a box version of the old school OG PS2. I don't think I've ever opened one up. Actually, I take that back. I have. I've replaced the disk drive on these before. The fact that the tray mechanism is not working and it's not reading discs, that's two strikes. That's two different things that are wrong with it. Disc read error. So either the disc is no good. Normally when you knock on them, so this thing is pretty jammed. There we go. There we go. Oh, you. Come on. So I just broke the. Did I break it? I may have broke it. I just want to know what disc is in there. All right. Yeah. I may mess with that off camera. The fact that it's got, in fact, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep the memory card. I'm gonna wipe that down because that's a little gross. We don't need to use this anymore, so let's keep that over there. Let's put this back in here. So right now we're 0 for 2. However, the good news is I'm only in these things like $10. You know, that's the good news. I'm only in these. In fact, this came with all the video games that I bought from that guy in Flowery Branch, and I was in like $150 for all the video games in like 4 systems. So I'm probably in the systems a couple dollars. If that. I think after selling all the video games, I'm probably in the green already. So these could possibly be, I don't keep track of all that, so these could very well already be free. But I'm going to, the positives in the case like this, because it's got 2 strikes against it, it doesn't read, and the disc thing doesn't come out. I'm not a video game refurbisher and fixer. Now I do dabble and I do tinker, and like on the PSP, I will replace a screen. If it's pretty easy and straightforward, I'll do it. Stuff that I haven't done before, I don't like to mess with and dive into because it does take time and it's not worth it a lot of times for me. So I'm going to hope that the Slim, it's an easy fix on that pad, because I think that's all that's wrong with that is the pad. The positives I can take out of this is I can still sell this for like $40 for parts and repair. I also have an extra AV cable now for a PS2. In fact, I possibly have two. They're a little janky, but I can wipe them down, clean them up, and they're good. Which, you know, you can alwaage use more cableage. So there's a plus you take out of it. I got a memory card out of it too. So there's that. I got a memory card out of it. I got some cableage out of it. Another power cable, because I'm not going to include, when I sell for parts and repair, I don't include the power cables. So I got a power cable out of it. You know, I mean, you know, you got to take your wins where you can get them, kind of thing. So there's that. I really want to know what game is in here, to be honest with you. So let me see if I can yank this out here. I just don't want to completely break the tray. And a lot of times this is probably easy fixes. I mean, I can say, you know, it's probably an easy fix. I just, again, the time it takes to open these things up, tinker with them, replace them, and then sometimes because I've done it to a lot of different systems up to this point. Some are worth it, some aren't. Some are easy, some are more complicated. Sometimes you fix the problem and then it's something else, or, you know, or you end up breaking something in the process, because I'm not that guy that does that all the time. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of times not worth it. There are certain things I will tackle, like replacing a joystick on a controller. There are some systems I'll open up. I've replaced the disc drives on a PS2 Slim. You know, that was super easy. I mean, I have opened up, you know, like I'm replacing the PSP thing. I'm replacing a joystick on the screen on a Wii U tablet. You know, like, so, I mean, there are things that I will dive into and fix, especially if I look up at the video and I'm like, oh, that's pretty simple. That's, you know, and I may look this up and be like, oh, you know what, Joe, fuck it, just do it. It's not that hard. But because this has two strikes, if it was just disc read or it was just the feed, I may tackle it. But the fact that it's got two issues now, that means I got to probably figure something out with it may be just something jammed in there. Could be something simple. But then it could be something a little bit more complicated. And then also, I believe, I don't know, I'm gonna look it up just because that's the me in me. It's because I don't, you know, I'd hate to, if it is something simple. I've never actually had one stuck like this on a PS2, so if it is something simple, I wanna you know, be able to tackle it possibly. But if it's something harder, let me see, then I will just pass and sell it as parts and repair. Let somebody that tinkers with this on a regular basis tackle it and try to fix it and then get their money out of it. If I can get $40, I mean, it may be that the disc is just stuck in there because it could just be that the disc is stuck in there, guys. Honestly, oh, that is on the borderline of breaking, that's for sure. I can see the game. It's Silent Hill 2. No, I can't tell what game it is. It looks like the mechanism is stuck on the game, and that's why it's not coming out. So I'm going to also look this up just to see how hard or easy that is, because I haven't messed with a PS2 in so long as far as tinkering with one. So I'm going to both of these look up and go from there. So pretty you know, that's the game. That's the day in the life of trying to get stuff worked out on your PlayStations. So there's that. I think that's enough to show you guys kind of a little glimpse of what happens. You know, womp womp. Unfortunately, both of those are no good. So I've got, let's see, an Xbox 360 downstairs. I've got two Nintendo 64s, a Nintendo, a Sega, two Wii U's, and I think that's about it. So I got all those to test through and get through, not today, but I'm going to tinker with these PlayStations, and so I'll keep you guys posted on the video on Monday. But again, that's kind of just a day in the life you know, sometimes they fire up and they work and everything's good, and other times they have issues, and then you got to weigh your time and your expense in trying to fix it. Now, you know, I can get about $30 to $40 on a working but needs fixing PS2, because somebody, you know, the fact that it works and powers up is a plus. Now it's a matter of, you know, somebody taking the time to replace the drive and figure out what's up, you know, whether it reads discs or not, or the disc tray, and then whether it reads discs or not. You know, that could be a very simple fix for somebody, and then they can turn around and flip it and make some money off of it. So, is it worth it for me to buy the laser, and or, you know, figure out what's wrong with it, open it up, spend an hour of my time to do that, if not more? Sometimes when you go down those rabbit holes, that's why I don't like doing it, because when you go down those rabbit holes, a lot of times, you know, because I'm not a whiz at that stuff. And I will say, simple swapping stuff, unscrewing, taking the shell off, swapping a part out, and things like that, and that usually is no problem, and I'll do it. So if it's a matter of just swapping out the drive, you know, that has the mechanism for the disc tray, I'll probably do it. When it becomes soldering, I'm usually out. I will dabble in a little bit of very simple solder stuff, but I am terrible at soldering. I'm very bad. That's why I don't even want to do the games for like the Pokemon stuff, because I'm terrible at soldering. But I'm just not. I've just you know, that's usually where I stop, is soldering. 100%. That's my hard stop. Even though now, if it looks super easy, like a little dabble and it comes off, and a little dabble and it goes back on, maybe I'll try it, and I have, and some have worked and some I fucked up. I mean, it's so a lot of times when it comes to that, I'll just say that's it. I'm not going to mess with the soldering. Um, so I'll look that up. I'll look both of those things up. I'm assuming, you know, I may or may not be able to fix it, but I'll keep you guys updated on those. But that's kind of how it goes. If they had both worked, then the next step would be clean them off really nice, make them look nice, make them look clean, you know, get all the junk and nasty, because they're both pretty janky. They came out of storage units and they're both pretty nasty. You know, clean the cords, you know, with all the disinfectant wipes, clean everything down, buy 2 controllers. I've got memory cards to go with them. So they would have memory cards, the power cords, the AV cords, and then I'd have 2 controllers. Once they came in, then I would put them on my couch. I would take pictures. I'd bundle all filler games, because I got a bunch of filler games. I'd bundle that all together and rinse and repeat like I did on the Xbox. Put it down on my couch, take the pictures, and then put them in a box, take them downstairs, and they sit until they sell, and then get them on eBay. So it's kind of rinse and repeat. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And when they don't work like this, I'll look the stuff up. So as soon as I get off camera with you guys, I'm going to look up how, you know, how easy it is to fix both of the issues on both of them, because I've never had either one of those problems with the PlayStations. So I will look them up, see if it's something I feel I can handle. If I can handle it, then the next step is the price worth it? You know, if a new drive, a mechanism and all that on the PS2 is $40, $30, $40, it's probably not worth it for me to do it, because then by the time, you know, I'm going to sell it for 100, 120. Let's just say I get 120, because that's about average. Okay. Let's just say I get 120 out of it. Okay. I mean, I'm in 80 at that point. Well, technically I'm not. I'm in 40. I mean, I'm in like a couple dollars for the system. So I'm in 40. So it's you know, well, I'm in another 20-ish for the controller, then another 30 to 40 for the mechanism, then my time to do it. So, you know, after fees, you know, $100. I mean, you're talking a $40 difference, give or take. Is it worth my time for that $40 difference? You know, I'm in 60 to buy possibly the part and the controller. You know, after fees, if it sells for 120, puts me at about 100, 105. Is it worth the $40 difference, give or take $50 maybe, to go through the headache and taking an hour to sit on it, maybe more to do it? You know, and then possibly still have, you know, now if the part's only $15, I can get a controller for $15, and it seems pretty easy. So those are the things you got to kind of weigh. You know, is it worth it? Is it worth the $50, maybe $60 to sit down and do it? You know, possibly. If it's an easy turnaround and looks pretty straightforward, then maybe. You know, but again, it goes back to that cost and whether it's worth it. Now I can sell it for 40 and not mess with it and just leave it and let somebody else mess with it and just make 40 off of it and not spend any money. Don't spend the 60, don't spend nothing. So I'm going to get 40 just by doing nothing for it. So is it worth it just selling it for $40? Y'all tell me. Probably is better to just sell it for the $40, because if I'm only going to make 60 on it and I do all that extra, but I can sell it for 40 as is, Now you're talking like a $20 difference. Is it worth the 20 bucks to go through all the hassle and the headache? I'm already talking myself out of it. No, it's probably not. Put it up for $39.99. Let somebody else mess with it that's got all the parts on hand, that can turn around, flip it for $120 and fix it, pretty simple, and then they can make, $60, $70 off of it when it's all said and done. You know what I mean? I don't know. So that's kind of the gears that go. So hopefully that gives you guys an insight as well. The gears that you got to go through. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I've sold a PS2 Slim and Fat together for like $60, maybe even $70. So I could just bundle those together and just not deal with the headache and get like 60, 70 bucks out of the pair. I'm in the green on them at that, and I'm already in the green on it. So for the most part, so maybe it's just better to do that. And then I get the cableage out of it that I can use for future stuff. I don't have to worry about buying $35 worth of controllers and another $30, $40 worth of parts, and not have to deal with it, because you're talking probably an hour a piece on those, tinkering, at least 30 minutes a piece, if not an hour a piece, to fuck with them. So again, my gears are turning, and I'm starting to talk myself out of it. Like, yeah, I'm going to look it up when I get off here, but I'm probably, unless the parts are super cheap and it looks like it's super easy, probably not going to mess with them. So there's that. You win some, you lose some. Give me some input, some advice, some insight, some whatever you want to give me, throw it at me. A little different video than normal. Again, this is part 2, because the first one I accidentally cut out. So actually there's the first part if you haven't seen it already. And then this will be part 2. So I'll label them part 1, tinkering and testing games, and then part 2, tinkering and testing games and systems. And you guys can, enjoy both of these. Hopefully you got something out of them. So that's all I got for y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys on Monday for sales. Sales are slow. So right now I've sold like 2 things between yesterday and today. In fact, I didn't even jump on yesterday. I only sold 1 thing yesterday. I sold 2 things yesterday. I've yet to sell anything. I take that back. 2 things yesterday, 1 thing today. Not very good sales. Right now I'm sitting on like $700 to drop into my account on Tuesday. So hopefully things ramp up today and tomorrow. Hopefully I can at least reach like 1,000, because it's been a slow week, that's for sure. But that's all I got for y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Drop me some comments, and then we can talk about them on Monday. And I'll let you guys know the update on the PS2s on Monday as well. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Saturday, and we'll see y'all on the next one.